Don't waste your time. At exactly 8:47 every morning, Adrian Cole would stand in front of the glass doors of Meridian Solutions and look at his reflection before walking inside. He always wore the same expression. Calm, focused, unbothered. But there was one thing nobody in the office knew. Every morning, before entering the building, Adrian reminded himself of the same sentence. Don't waste your time. He had learned that sentence the hard way. Years ago, when he was 19, his father had died suddenly. His father had always told him, Adrian, one day you'll understand that money can be earned again, opportunities can return, and even broken things can sometimes be repaired. But time doesn't negotiate. Adrian hadn't understood it then. He was too young. He thought there would always be another day, another conversation, another chance, another opportunity to say what needed to be said. Until one evening, there wasn't. His father had left for work that morning. He never came home. That single day had changed Adrian forever. Now, at 29, Adrian was one of the most hardworking employees at Meridian Solutions. He arrived before almost everyone. He stayed later than almost everyone. He never wasted office hours on gossip. He never spent 20 minutes discussing something that could be solved in 5. And he never postponed important things. His colleagues admired him. Some disliked him. A few thought he was obsessed. But only one person truly understood him. His best friend, Elliot Hayes. Elliot was almost the complete opposite of Adrian. If Adrian was the clock, Elliot was the person who kept forgetting to check the time. He arrived late. He joked during serious meetings. He drank coffee like water. He could turn a boring Monday morning into a comedy show. And somehow, despite all of that, he was brilliant. Elliot had a natural ability to understand people. He knew when someone was hiding sadness behind a smile. He knew when an employee needed encouragement. He knew when a manager was angry but pretending not to be. And most importantly, he knew Adrian. They had met 6 years earlier when both joined Meridian Solutions as junior analysts. On their first day, Adrian had been sitting alone in the cafeteria, reviewing company documents. Elliot had dropped into the chair opposite him. You're new. Adrian had looked up. So are you. True. Then why did you say I'm new? Because you look new. Adrian had stared at him. Elliot had smiled. You look like a man who still believes this company has rules. That had been the beginning. Within months, they became inseparable. They worked together, ate lunch together, helped each other survive difficult projects, celebrated promotions together, and when Adrian's mother became seriously ill, Elliot was the first person to drive him to the hospital. When Elliot's younger sister needed help paying her university fees, Adrian quietly gave him the money. Neither of them kept score. They simply knew, if one fell, the other would reach out a hand. But 6 years of friendship were about to be tested. And neither of them knew it. Chapter 1. The New Girl. On a rainy Monday morning, Adrian was sitting in the conference room when their department director walked in. Everyone, I'd like you to meet someone. A young woman followed him into the room. She was carrying a black notebook and a laptop. Her name was Clara Bennett. She had recently joined Meridian Solutions as the company's new strategic communications manager. She was intelligent, confident and unusually quiet. Clara has worked with several international firms, the director explained. She'll be leading the communications side of our upcoming Orion project. The room became slightly more attentive. The Orion project was the biggest contract Meridian had received that year. If the company succeeded, it would change the careers of several people, including Adrian's and Elliot's. The director looked around. Adrian, you'll handle financial analysis. Adrian nodded. Elliot, you'll coordinate the operational team. Elliot raised his hand. Can I ask one important question? The director sighed. What? Will there be free coffee during the project? Everyone laughed. The director shook his head. You're impossible. Elliot smiled. That's why you keep me. Clara laughed softly. Adrian noticed. For the first time that morning, his eyes remained on someone for more than a second. Elliot noticed too. He leaned toward Adrian. Interesting. Adrian frowned. What? You looked at her. I look at people when they speak. No. Elliot grinned. You looked at her. Adrian returned his attention to his laptop. Focus. Of course. But Elliot's smile remained. Clara quickly became an important part of the Orion team. She worked differently from everyone else. She didn't try to impress people. She listened. She asked questions. She noticed details. And she often stayed late. One evening, Adrian was still working at 8:30 when he heard footsteps behind him. You know the office closes at 9, right? He turned. Clara stood there holding 2 cups of coffee. I know. She placed one on his desk. I thought you might need this. Adrian looked at the cup. Thank you. You're welcome. She started walking away, then stopped. Adrian, yes. Do you ever go home? He smiled faintly. Sometimes. Sometimes. When there's nothing left to do. Clara smiled. There's always something left to do. Adrian looked at her. She had unexpectedly repeated something he had heard many times. But then she added, the question is whether it's worth doing. Adrian didn't answer. Clara walked away. For some reason, her words stayed with him. Chapter 2. The Dream. The Orion project became increasingly difficult. The client kept changing requirements. Deadlines moved closer. Management became impatient. The team worked longer hours. Adrian barely slept. Elliot, however, continued making jokes. One night, after everyone else had left, Elliot walked into Adrian's office. You still working? Obviously. You've been here since 7. I know. That's 14 hours. Adrian continued typing. So your chair is probably going to file a marriage application. Adrian smiled. I'm almost finished. Elliot sat down. You always say that. Adrian finally looked at him. Why are you here? I wanted to ask you something. What? Do you remember the small restaurant near the river? Yes. Clara is going there tonight. Adrian's eyebrows rose. Why are you telling me? Because she asked about you. Adrian stared at him. What did she ask? She asked if you ever do anything besides work. And what did you say? I told her you occasionally breathe. Adrian laughed. Elliot stood. Come with us. No. Why? I have work. Adrian. What? You're not going to live forever. Adrian became quiet. Elliot immediately regretted his words. I didn't mean. I know. Adrian closed his laptop. I'll come. Elliot smiled. Finally. That evening, the 3 of them sat near the river. For the first time, Adrian saw Clara outside the office. She seemed different, more relaxed, more alive. They talked about ordinary things. Movies, books, childhood memories, dreams. Elliot talked the most. Clara laughed often, but occasionally, Adrian noticed her looking at him. And he realized something he didn't want to admit. He liked being around her. He liked the way she listened. He liked the way she challenged him. He liked the fact that she didn't treat him like the serious, emotionless man everyone else saw. And perhaps most dangerously, he liked the possibility that she might like him too. Chapter 3. A friendship begins to change. Weeks passed. The Orion team grew closer. Adrian and Clara began spending more time together. Sometimes they worked late. Sometimes they had coffee. Sometimes they simply walked through the office talking about nothing. One evening, Clara asked him, why do you work so hard? Adrian didn't answer immediately. Because I want to succeed. That's not the whole answer. He looked at her. You ask too many questions. And you give too few answers. He smiled. Then he told her about his father. About the morning he left. About the last conversation they had. About how Adrian had ignored his father's call the night before because he was studying. About the voicemail he never returned. Clara listened silently. When he finished, she said, you were 19. I know. You couldn't have known. I should have answered. You were a child. I was old enough. Clara shook her head. No, Adrian, you were young enough to believe there would always be another day. Those words hurt. Because they were true. Adrian looked away. Clara gently said, your father wouldn't want you spending the rest of your life punishing yourself for missing one phone call. Adrian didn't respond. But that night, something inside him changed. Meanwhile, Elliot noticed the growing connection between them. At first, he was happy. He teased Adrian constantly. You're smiling. I'm always smiling. No, you're not. I smiled yesterday. That was because I told a joke. Exactly. Elliot laughed. But gradually, something else began happening. Elliot started becoming distant. He stayed late alone. He stopped joining them for coffee. He avoided conversations. Adrian noticed. One night he asked, are you okay? I'm fine. You've been acting strange. Maybe you're finally noticing. Adrian frowned. What does that mean? Nothing. Elliot, I'm tired. Adrian. He walked away. Adrian watched him go. For the first time in 6 years, he felt that something was wrong between them. He just didn't know what. Chapter 4. The Promotion. 3 months into the Orion project, management announced that one person would be promoted to Senior Strategy Director after the project's completion. Everyone knew there were 2 serious candidates. Adrian and Elliot. The competition was never officially announced. But everyone knew. Adrian didn't think much about it. He trusted Elliot. If Elliot got the position, Adrian would congratulate him. If Adrian got it, Elliot would do the same. At least, that's what Adrian believed. Then one afternoon, the company received a confidential email. Someone had leaked internal Orion documents. The client was furious. Management called an emergency meeting. The director's face was pale. We need to find out who accessed these files. The IT department checked the system. There had been unauthorized access. The login belonged to Adrian. Silence filled the room. Adrian stared at the screen. That's impossible. The director looked at him. The system says your credentials were used. I didn't access those files. Then someone used your account. Adrian looked around the room. Everyone was watching him, including Elliot. Their eyes met. For a moment, Adrian saw something in Elliot's expression. Fear, or guilt. He couldn't tell. The investigation began immediately. Adrian was temporarily removed from the Orion project. His access was suspended. Rumors spread throughout the office. Some people believed he had leaked the documents to secure another job. Others believed he had tried to sabotage the project. Adrian was devastated, not because of his reputation, but because he couldn't understand how his credentials had been used. One evening, Clara came to his apartment. He opened the door. I can't believe this is happening. She stepped inside. I believe you. Adrian looked at her. You don't even know whether I'm innocent. I know you. He sat down. What if I can't prove it? Then we'll keep looking. You shouldn't get involved. I'm already involved. He looked at her. Why? Clara hesitated, then said softly, because you're important to me. Adrian's heart stopped for a moment. He wanted to say something. Anything. But before he could, his phone rang. It was Elliot. Adrian answered. Hello. Elliot's voice sounded strange. We need to talk. About what? Tomorrow. Why not now? Because I don't know how to say it. The call ended. Adrian stared at the phone. Clara asked. What happened? I don't know. Chapter 5. The Betrayal. The next morning, Adrian found Elliot waiting outside the office. We need to talk somewhere private. They went to a small cafe. Elliot didn't touch his coffee. Finally he said, I used your account. Adrian froze. What? I used your login. Why? Elliot looked down. I didn't leak the documents. Then what did you do? I accessed them. Adrian's voice became cold. Why? Elliot remained silent. Why, Elliot? Because I was trying to find something. What? Evidence. Evidence of what? Elliot looked at him. Someone inside the company has been manipulating the Orion accounts. Adrian stared. What are you talking about? I discovered irregular transactions months ago. Why didn't you tell me? Because I wasn't sure. You used my credentials. I needed access to files you could see. You could have asked me. I couldn't. Why? Elliot's eyes filled with frustration. Because I was afraid you'd stop me. Adrian stood. You put my career at risk. I know. You made me look guilty. I know. You betrayed me. Elliot's face fell. I know. Adrian walked away. For the first time in 6 years, he didn't look back. Chapter 6. The Hidden Enemy. Clara refused to give up. She started reviewing Orion documents. She compared financial reports. She checked timestamps. She found inconsistencies. And then she discovered something. Several confidential files had been accessed from an internal terminal at exactly 2:13 a.m. on multiple nights. But Adrian wasn't there. Elliot wasn't there either. Someone else had been using the system. Clara showed the evidence to the director. The company investigated further. They discovered a senior executive had been secretly transferring money through shell vendors connected to the Orion project. The leaked documents had been deliberately released to create chaos. And Adrian had been framed. But there was one problem. Who had accessed the files using Adrian's credentials? The answer shocked everyone. The system had been manipulated remotely. Someone had cloned Adrian's access token. The evidence cleared Adrian, but it didn't explain Elliot's involvement. Management suspended Elliot pending investigation. Adrian was reinstated. His name was cleared. The Orion project continued. Everyone congratulated him. Everyone except Adrian. He felt empty, because the person who had stood beside him for 6 years was gone. Chapter 7. The Letter. One evening, Clara found Adrian sitting alone in the office. You should go home. I know. But you're still here. I know. She sat beside him. Have you spoken to Elliot? No. Why? Because I don't know if I can trust him. Clara remained quiet. Then she handed him an envelope. What is this? Elliot gave it to me. Adrian stared at the envelope. When? Yesterday. Why didn't you give it to me? He asked me to wait until you were ready. Adrian opened it. Inside was a handwritten letter. Adrian, I know you probably hate me. I don't blame you. You were my best friend, and I broke the one thing I promised myself I'd never break. I never wanted your career. I never wanted your promotion. I never wanted Clara. Adrian stopped reading. His eyes moved to the next line. Yes, I know about Clara, and that's another reason I stayed away. Because I was afraid of what I might lose. Adrian continued. You remember when I told you my sister needed money for university? You thought I accepted your help because I was proud. The truth is, I was embarrassed. I had spent years trying to prove that I could build something without anyone's help. Then I discovered my father had left us a huge debt. I was desperate. Someone in the company offered me a deal. Access to certain files. In exchange for money. I refused. But while investigating him, I discovered something much bigger. He was stealing from the Orion project. I tried to gather evidence. That's when I used your account. I knew it was wrong. But I didn't know how else to protect myself. I'm sorry. And Adrian, you once told me that your father taught you not to waste time. So don't waste yours hating me. If you ever forgive me, I'll be grateful. If you don't, I'll understand. But please remember one thing. 6 years of friendship were real. At least they were real to me. Elliot. Adrian folded the letter. For several minutes, he said nothing. Clara watched him. Finally he whispered, I don't know what to do. She replied, then don't decide tonight. Chapter 8. The Confession. A week later, Adrian went to Elliot's apartment. Elliot opened the door. Neither spoke. Finally Elliot said, you came. Yes. Why? I don't know. Elliot smiled sadly. That's fair. Adrian looked at him. You should have trusted me. I know. You should have told me. I know. You hurt me. I know. Elliot's eyes filled with tears. I know. Adrian took a deep breath. Do you know what hurt the most? What? I thought I had lost my best friend. Elliot looked down. You did. No. Adrian stepped closer. You made a terrible decision. Elliot looked up. But you're still my friend. Elliot couldn't hold back his tears. The two men hugged. For the first time in weeks, the silence between them disappeared. That same evening, Adrian met Clara. They walked along the river. You look different, she said. How? Less angry. He smiled. I think I'm learning something. What? Some things aren't worth losing time over. Clara smiled. That's a very different Adrian. He looked at her. Clara, yes, I need to tell you something. She stopped walking. What? I love you. Clara's eyes softened. I was wondering when you were going to stop wasting time. He laughed. You knew. I've known for months. Then why didn't you say anything? Because I wanted you to say it. Why? Because some things are worth waiting for. They stood beside the river. The city lights reflected on the water. For the first time in years, Adrian wasn't thinking about tomorrow. He was simply living today. Chapter 9. The Second Twist. The Orion project was completed successfully. The company earned a record-breaking contract. Adrian received the promotion, but something unexpected happened. He refused it. The director was shocked. You don't want the position? Adrian smiled. I do. Then why refuse? Because I want something else. He handed over his resignation. Everyone was stunned, including Clara. Even Elliot. You can't be serious, Elliot said. Adrian smiled. I am. But you worked for this for years. I thought I did. Then what changed? Adrian looked at him. I realized I was working toward a life I didn't actually want. He had spent years believing success meant longer hours, more money, more recognition, more responsibility. But now he understood. He had been trying to win against time. And nobody wins against time. Instead of staying at Meridian, Adrian decided to open a small consulting company with Elliot. Clara joined them as their communications director. They rented a tiny office above a bookstore. There were only 3 desks. 1 old coffee machine, 2 computers, and a broken air conditioner. But they were happy. For the first time, Adrian didn't measure his life by promotions. He measured it by moments. Breakfast with Clara, coffee with Elliot, weekend walks, phone calls with his mother, birthday dinners, long conversations, laughter, life. Chapter 10. 5 years later. 5 years passed. The little consulting company grew. It became successful, but Adrian refused to become the man he used to be. He never worked past 7 unless absolutely necessary. He took weekends off. He traveled. He visited his mother regularly. He married Clara, and Elliot became the loudest person at their wedding. During the reception, Elliot raised his glass to Adrian. Everyone cheered. Elliot continued. 5 years ago, this man believed time was something you could save. People laughed. Today, he finally understands that time isn't meant to be saved. Adrian smiled. It is meant to be lived. Everyone applauded. But the story didn't end there. Chapter 11. The phone call. One rainy afternoon, Adrian received a call. It was from his mother. Her voice sounded weak. Adrian. Yes, Mom, I need you to come home. He immediately stood. What happened? I just want to see you. Of course. He grabbed his coat. Clara looked up. What happened? Mom wants me. I'll come with you. They drove for 2 hours. When Adrian reached his mother's house, she was sitting by the window. He hugged her tightly. Are you okay? She smiled. I'm fine. You scared me. I know. They spent the afternoon talking. About childhood. About his father. About Clara. About Elliot. At sunset, his mother took his hand. Your father would be proud of you. Adrian's eyes became wet. I wasted so many years. No. She shook her head. You learned. From what? From losing him. Adrian looked outside. His mother continued. Your father always wanted you to understand one thing. What? Work is important. She smiled. But people are more important. Chapter 12. The last lesson. That night, Adrian couldn't sleep. He walked outside. The rain had stopped. The streets were quiet. He remembered himself at 19. A boy sitting beside his father's hospital bed. A missed phone call. A lifetime of regret. Then he remembered everything that came afterward. His first job. His friendship with Elliot. His meeting with Clara. The betrayal. The forgiveness. The company. His wedding. His mother. He realized something. All those years, he had been afraid of wasting time. But fear itself had almost made him waste his life. He had worked so hard to avoid regret that he had forgotten to live. He had tried so hard to become successful that he had almost lost the people who made success meaningful. He had been afraid to love. Afraid to forgive. Afraid to slow down. Afraid to take risks. Afraid to fail. And yet, every time he had chosen courage over fear, his life had changed. Chapter 13. The unexpected message. The next morning, Adrian received an email from an unknown sender. There was only one sentence. Your father left something for you. Adrian froze. His father had died 10 years ago. He opened the attachment. It was an old video. His father appeared on screen. Adrian's hands began shaking. The video had been recorded shortly before his father's death. His father smiled at the camera. If you're watching this, Adrian, then you're probably older than I imagined you'd be. Adrian's eyes filled with tears. His father continued. I don't know when you'll see this. I don't know what your life will look like. But I want you to remember something. Don't spend your life trying to make everything perfect. Don't spend your life chasing money. Don't spend your life trying to prove you're better than everyone else. Work hard. Be responsible. But when someone you love needs you, put the work down. When your mother calls, answer. When a friend needs you, show up. When you fall in love, don't be afraid. And when you make a mistake, forgive yourself. Adrian covered his face. His father smiled on the screen. One day, you'll understand. Time isn't valuable because it is short. Time is valuable because once it becomes yesterday, you can never buy it back. The video ended. Adrian sat silently. Clara came into the room. She saw his face. What happened? He turned the laptop toward her. She watched the video. Then she hugged him. Adrian cried. Not because he was broken. Because, for the first time, he finally understood. Chapter 14. The real meaning of time. Years later, Adrian stood in front of a group of young employees. He had been invited to speak at a business conference. Someone asked him, what's the most important lesson you've learned in your career? Adrian smiled. Time. The audience waited. He continued. People think wasting time means doing nothing. But that's not always true. You can waste time while working 80 hours a week. You can waste time while chasing money. You can waste time while trying to impress people. You can waste time while holding on to anger. You can waste time waiting for the perfect moment. He paused. Sometimes the biggest waste of time is refusing to live the life that's happening right in front of you. The room became silent. Adrian looked at the young people sitting in front of him. Call your parents. Tell your friends you appreciate them. Apologize when you're wrong. Forgive when you can. Take the opportunity you've been afraid to take. Tell someone you love them. Go home when someone needs you. Take care of your health. Laugh. Travel. Dream. Work hard. But don't forget why you're working. He smiled. Because one day, you may have everything you ever wanted. And still wish you could buy one ordinary Tuesday back. Nobody spoke. Adrian looked toward the window. Outside, the sun was setting. And suddenly he remembered his father. He remembered the words, "Don't waste your time," but now those words meant something completely different. They no longer meant, "Work harder," they meant, "Live better." Epilogue. Years later, Adrian and Clara were sitting in their backyard. Their daughter was playing with a small dog. Elliot was sitting nearby, arguing with Adrian about something ridiculous. "You know," Elliot said, "I still think I should be the CEO." Adrian laughed. "You can't even remember passwords." "I remember important passwords. Your email password is your birthday." "Exactly. Important." Clara laughed. Their daughter ran toward them. "Dad." Adrian opened his arms. She jumped into them. He hugged her. For a moment, everything became quiet. The evening sun covered the garden with golden light. Adrian looked at his family. And he realized something. He had once been terrified of time. Now he was grateful for every second of it. He no longer counted how many hours he worked. He counted the conversations he had, the meals he shared, the people he loved, the memories he created, the moments he chose to be present. Because eventually, everyone learns the same lesson. Time doesn't disappear all at once. It disappears quietly. One morning, one conversation, one missed call, one postponed dream, one, "I'll do it tomorrow." One, "I'm too busy." One, "Maybe someday." And someday can become never. So if there is someone you love, don't wait. If there is something you've been dreaming about, start. If you've made a mistake, learn from it. If someone has hurt you, forgive when you can. If you're working hard for a better future, remember to live in the present too. Because the future is never guaranteed. Yesterday is already gone. Tomorrow hasn't arrived. All you truly own is today. Adrian looked at his daughter and smiled. She asked, "Dad, what are you thinking about?" He hugged her a little tighter. "Nothing." She laughed. "You're thinking about something." He smiled. "Just thinking how lucky I am." And for the first time in his life, Adrian wasn't thinking about how much time he had left. He was simply grateful for the time he had. Because he finally understood the lesson his father had tried to teach him years ago. Don't waste your time, not because life is too short to work hard, but because life is too precious to spend it on things that don't matter. Work hard, dream big, love deeply, forgive quickly, be present, and when life gives you a choice between another hour of chasing success and one precious moment with someone you love, remember, success can wait, time cannot.